Why? I know we've heard about, bolstering NATO partner defenses and Article 5 commitment, but the one thing I'm still unclear on is, is there any indication that Russia is threatening or has any plans at all to invade any of the NATO allies around Ukraine? Because it seems like everything we're hearing is that the threat is to Ukraine. So what's the Article 5 commitment that the U.S. has to allies around there? Or is it really just about showing a demonstration of force?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. I think, and you can see it in press reporting out of Europe, that the Russian buildup around Ukraine and in Belarus has definitely got many of our NATO allies concerned, particularly those allies that border or are very close to bordering Russia. What we want to make sure is we know that Putin has said himself how concerned he is about NATO, and this false belief that it's somehow an offensive alliance aimed to contain Russia or to threaten Russia. Again, false. But this is the narrative he's putting out there. And so we want to make sure that our NATO allies understand we take seriously our commitments to them. And so if they desire, if they want additional capabilities, particularly in those eastern flank countries, to bolster their own self-defense, then we want to have that conversation with them, and we want to be willing to provide that for them. That's the unilateral movements, and it really is designed to ensure NATO solidarity and, quite frankly, to help bolster the capabilities of our allies. Second and distinct from that, of course, is the NATO response force. So this is a 40,000 troop-strong response force that only NATO, the alliance, can activate. We have obligations inside that, just like other countries inside the alliance. We signed up for a certain amount of contribution to that. It is not something that is that's just off the shelf and you just go grab it. So you want to make it as short a tether as possible, and that's why we've alerted those extra 8,500 troops here in the States. They have not been given deployment orders. They've just been told to be ready on a shorter period of time in case the alliance activates that. And as for Ukraine, you're right. The principal threat right now, at least from a military perspective, is from Russia on Ukraine and to Ukrainian soil, which is why we continue to provide security assistance material to the Ukrainian armed forces. Another shipment just arrived on Friday. There'll be more coming in coming days, and why we still have trainers on the ground. Not just us, the Brits do, the Canadians do, trainers on the ground to help improve the competence and the confidence of Ukrainian armed forces. So it's really a multi-tiered approach here. But the president has been very clear. We're not going to see American troops on the ground in combat with the Russians in Ukraine. He has made clear that that's not on the table. So what we're focused on is the very real security commitments that we have. You mentioned under Article 5 specifically to our NATO allies. Should Mr. Putin decide to make or to exhibit threats against the alliance, we want to make sure that he understands unequivocally that that's not going to be acceptable, and the United States will fight to defend our NATO allies and our commitments to our allies on the continent.